Hello, 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 beautiful rays of light. Thank you for joining me. I am Nikei S Salas, inspiration giver, well-being educator, and this is an episode of the Hill Spot Podcast. I have the beautiful globe-trotting Paula Simon, which we have adopted virtually. We met through a travel group, and we've
Yeah.
just been on each other's
Sister.
journey, right? On each other's journey from just seeing her go all over the world, right? Right now, she's in Malaysia, y'all. She's gonna tell you about her experience there, what she's learning, because she's always giving tidbits on her YouTube channel of all the things that she's learning because I believe she understands the importance of traveling to help us to grow. She is
Yes.
from Brooklyn, New York, by way of
Georgetown,
Guyana.
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 Yes, she came to bless Brooklyn, New York with her presence. But right now she is like I said, she is traveling. She is in Malaysia. So without further ado, thank you, Paula Simon, for joining us. It's early in the morning for me, but I know it's in evening for you.
Thank you so much, Nikki, for inviting me to be part of this great movement.
No,
And
no
thank you so
problem.
much. And thank you so much for stepping out because I know
Mm-hmm.
they have a whole lot of people who God placed on them
Mm-hmm.
to step out just like you did.
Mm-hmm.
And they're scared.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone is concerned about how they would sound, whether it would be accepted, whether this is going to grow or that's going to grow. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
grateful to God for you deciding to follow his instruction.
Thank
And in the
you.
process, I get in to hang out on your podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm thank you for
well,
saying
well,
that.
uh, well, let me say this.
Uh-huh.
I could say I end up on this journey by deduction.
Mm.
In 2014. And it's
Okay.
interestingly now that for the first time, when I could describe what I was experiencing in 2014,
Okay.
without us getting too political or anything, whether you're for or against,
Mm-hmm.
what most people is experiencing now, I was experiencing in 2014.
Mm.
The difference is that even when I explained what I was experiencing, persons just could not understand. And even myself, as I say it, it did not really line up. It didn't sound like how I was feeling.
Mm.
So
That's
that
usually
whole
how it
panic,
goes.
yes, the whole panic of, I know things, it's a whole lot of other stuff. But anyway, the gist of it is that that discourse or
Mm.
feeling and the panic. And I was trying to tell everybody, things is going to get bad, things is going to get bad. Anyway, it started off, it triggered something else in me.
Mm.
In the sense, I realized that one, I was like overworked.
Mm.
I didn't feel appreciated.
Mm. I
I
know that.
felt, and the worst part about it, everything that came to me, I was experiencing is situation that I created.
Oh.
I created it in ignorance. I built a
Mm.
business where I was doing more. I
Mm.
was making sure I called in. I was doing this, I was doing that. I had other advisors that I know was not doing all that I was doing.
Mm.
But I was honest. I'm so honored that people trust me with their money. And because of that, whether it's $1,000 or $10,000 or $100,000, I invest in so much time. And I realized I was tired. I
Mm.
was worn. I was sad. I did not know how sad I was until I went to New Zealand in 2017.
Mm.
And as a third person, that bench in Wellington Botanical Garden was a savior. I
Wow.
don't know. I was walking around, taking out photographs, everything. And I sat on that bench, and suddenly it was, let's go.
Mm.
I sat and all this feeling started welling up in me. And then I knew I was bawling.
Mm.
The beauty about it, that time of the year, the garden didn't have much people. And at that time, persons wasn't so obsessed with taking out your picture because I know if it's now, my face would be splattered all over the internet
Mm-hmm.
because this, I felt after the cry, I felt like a burden lift off of me. But there was
Mm.
still so much work. I know I had to make a change. I didn't know what was the change.
Okay.
And I could say I reached this point by deduction.
Mm.
Initially, I said, all right, I will travel for a while. I will go and come. But because I lived alone, the most I could have put my mail on is for 30 days. I said,
Mm.
okay, I'll travel in 30 days and come.
Okay.
I was doing that. Then I had problems with my mail. I said, all right, then I will give up the house because one of the things I got a hint then,
Okay.
but it went away because it was like crazy, is that I do not want to live how I was living in every sense of the word.
Mm.
I don't want to take care of a home. I don't want to check every year to see if they're going to increase the taxes on the home. And then I have to call Clayton County Tax Division and argue with them to reduce my taxes. I don't want to be running behind the homeowners insurance people to make sure they're not adding up. I didn't like where I was living in the
Mm.
sense that they had it's a very small city. We had a mayor and they controlled things to an extent that they weren't doing things to me to
Mm.
benefit the community.
Mm.
It was like a community that the mayor was like the landlord,
Mm.
so to speak, how it was operating. I didn't want to deal with my homeowners associate. So, but for a brief moment, this thing popped into my spirit.
Okay.
But the thoughts of what? Who live in that way
Mm.
without a house, without a car, with the only thing they're really responsible for is whatever they have with them.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, I didn't know about that, right? So that went away. So I start trying other things. And gradually I go, I sold the house in Georgia, I went down to Brooklyn. And then it reached a point. I said, all right, traveling back and forth to the US, I will go somewhere where I could have a longer stay. I know I went to Albania, I went to Georgia. They both two countries that would allow American citizens to stay for 1 year without you having to have a visa.
Oh, that's good to know. Okay.
Here. And in the case with Georgia, you could go to school, you could have a job, you could buy property, although you can't buy with land. You could buy like a condominium or so, right?
Okay. Okay.
Every time you leave the country and come back, you reset the 1 year,
Okay. Oh, that's good.
right? So I look at Albania, I'm certain about Albania, but going to school and the job, right? But I look at Albania and look at Georgia. Georgia was to me at the time more favorable. So I said, okay, I will go to Georgia. I will spend this year and then go and come. I set up apartment, Nikki. I did all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly, I get all domesticated again. Here am I buying mop and broom and cleaning stuff. And oh, I need a duvet for the bed, and I need
Mm.
a lamp. And when I did all of that,
Mm-hmm.
I still traveling back and forth. This, and then a day, I stand up by the sink and I said, you know what? I need to get some tomatoes. And with that, I got a flashback. It took me right back to Atlanta, Georgia.
Mm.
I'm in Tbilisi, Georgia. It took me right back to Atlanta, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
What were you doing?
Mm.
You were
Like,
doing
like
exactly
you
what you
forget.
needed to get rid of.
Exactly. Yep.
You went, but what happened? We go back to our comfort
Yep.
zone.
Yep.
And because it's not something horrible like an abusive relationship or a bad health, a habit or anything like that, it is acceptable.
Mm. What we think.
Yes, because it's acceptable by society. So I said, what is this? I don't want to be looking for tomatoes. I don't want to remember that I got to buy oil. I don't. And then I look, I said, Polly, you got rid of so much of stuff. Now you accumulating stuff again.
Mm.
Because, and I was away and I came back. And the beauty about Georgia, providing you give them 30 days notice, you could break a lease.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. I broke the lease. I left a whole set of stuff there again. A whole
Wow.
lot of stuff I accumulate.
Wow.
And it was traumatic because I told myself I would never do that to myself again,
Okay.
accumulate so much stuff. But I did. And this is what I do. Right now, when I leave a place with my little suitcase and bag, as we used to say, Georgie bundle, as I leave a place with my Georgie bundle, I leave, I don't have to look back. I don't have to think about gas. I don't have to think about, but whatever happening with the apartment or the house, whether I need a new door. And for once in my life, I could honestly say, not once in my life, from age 8, because there's when my father died and I start worrying. There's a whole lot another story. I could honestly say, my daughter, my granddaughter is good. So I'm good. And what I find traveling is that I ask God, what is my next move? And let me say something about him. He don't talk much. He just didn't want it. So when I look at it, he plays first my website because I said after I was feeling so depleted, I said I have to do something for myself. And suddenly this thing popped in my head about building a website. And I'm not the kind of person like reading instruction and building stuff. I'm not a kind. Give me a situation or you give me a scenario and I could tell you I'm more strategic thinking. I think a lot, right? I'm more good at that. But I suddenly knew I had to build this website.
Okay.
And I started and I had some going and coming because I was building it based on how everyone said the website's supposed to be built. And every time I try to do that, it triggers the whole thing in me, which I'm trying to get rid of, putting persons in front of myself. So going to build a website for somebody else, again, is like what I'm doing. So it took a little while, but then COVID came. And I told myself, I said, here, I don't know how long this would last, but I had a feeling with every cell of my body, I would survive it. So my plan is when this is over, I must have something to prove, something that I have in that period other than stress. So something to accomplish. And is the COVID make me finish the website? So I look at the website, then I see, you know what, I could do YouTube. And I start that. I said, I'm going to talk about the goodness of God because I'm excited with my father. Yes, he's one crazy dude, Nikki, because he worked crazy in my life. And when I say something on my channel, I could have a story to back it up. I have a personal story to back it up. The way he has worked in my life in every area. So I said, I'm going to tell persons about God and tell him how he's good to me and why I'm excited about him. So now at this point now, I know I have to be on this journey. What next? I don't know. And I'm asking him, but he had given me stuff to do. There's the website and the YouTube channel, right? He gave me stuff to do. And it's not to say it's like it's something you do once. It's a continuous thing. So as I'm asking him what next to do, I'm certain God might be giving me a side eye. I thought I gave she instructions already. We should ask me, you know? So this how I look at it. He might be giving a side eye. Then I give she information already. Why she's bothering me about what to do? Do what I told you to do.
Right.
You
Stick to
know?
the plan, Paula.
Yes, stick to the plan. So that's why I say I don't know what's my next step. But as I'm out here, I am getting the golden opportunity to share with, and it's the people that I reach the most is because I stay in hotels.
Mhm.
I had experience with Airbnb and I just can't do it, right? I can't pay somebody to aggravate me. So I don't do Airbnbs. I stick to hotels. Yeah, you know, look at it this way. A hotel might have the same problem like an Airbnb, but the difference is you could press a zero, somebody's going to take care of it, and then put you in a different room.
I'm a hotel
Airbnb,
stayer
they don't,
too.
yeah, Airbnb don't have no other room to put you in. And then you got to text somebody and hope them to get back to you. It's too much. Anyway, but I get to share with the people that I reach.
Yes.
You know, I get to
All over
share
the
not
world.
only the good, yes, not only the goodness of God, but I get to talk to them about finances. And the thing
Mm,
about it, there was something that I was passionate about before I even get qualified to be a financial
mm,
advisor.
mm,
I was looking at the stock market and thinking about investing long before I became a financial advisor.
mm,
So that was a passion and still is a passion to me. So when I reach like young people, I could remember in December month when I was in China, I met this young man and he was saying, oh, he asked me what I'm doing. And I told him, I said, just looking at living life differently. That's what I told him. I said, just
mhm,
living life differently. He said, oh, he wish if he could do that like me. So I said, how old are you? He hesitated and he said 40. I said,
mm,
you're young. I said, I wish if at age 40 I had met someone who could have said to me that this is possible. I
mhm,
said, look at it this way. Make traveling. I have a friend, Elaine.
mhm,
Years ago, she said she treats traveling like a bill.
mhm,
Just like how she have to pay her mortgage and everything. Every month she put aside money to travel. She said
mhm.
it's just as important as her mortgage payment,
Yes, yes.
right? So she put aside money every month to travel. So I was telling this young man, I said, you could every month. I said, look at it this way. Because this is why I used to tell potential clients or clients.
Mhm,
If your boss call you in right now and tell you he's going to reduce your pay by $50 every month, let me ask you, one, how quickly would you leave the job? Secondly, how quickly would you become homeless?
mm,
Third, how quickly would you have to go and beg people for food? If because of the $50 less than wages or salary won't put you in those three situations, consider that you get $50 less and
mm,
start either saving for retirement, get your life insurance, or whatever the case might be. So there's what I told him. As if Hyatt now call you into the office and tell you that they're going to reduce your pay. It's true. And I wait for him to answer me because the thing about it in the US, I might have understand no thing, but with him, I wait for him to answer me. I said, would you leave the job? He said, no. Would you become homeless? He said, no.
mm,
I said, would you able to have money for food? He said, yes. I said, but look at it that way. Every month put aside $100. And I said, as the money start growing, I said, I don't know how you guys, your banks or whatever it is, but you will know. Even if it's 1% interest, don't worry, but you're getting enough interest now. What you
right.
want is to create that space.
Yes.
When as I talking to him, he start holding his head. I said, am I upsetting you? He said, no, I never got this kind of information
Oh,
before. He said, now
oh.
you have me thinking, and he had this smile on his face. And I said, yes. I said, you 40. I said, in the next 15 years. Okay, Nikki, just a moment. I have to get
Okay.
my batch,
Okay.
charge my computer.
While Paula is working on something, I just want you all to know I'm going to leave in the description the different links to join her on her experiences, her
I had
YouTube and
planned to bring
Facebook.
the charger in, and I forgot to bring it. I left it in the living room.
Okay.
Yeah, I said, look at it. At age 55, where are you?
I still be trying to look for mines, Paula. I'll be like, where's that?
Yeah, I said, look at it. At age 55,
Mm-hmm.
as you say, I said you might not think about retiring early because I know in their culture, the retiring early is not something.
Mm-hmm.
I said you might not think about retiring early, but what it would do, it will give you options.
Yes.
At age 55, you could decide I could retire or I don't want to retire.
Mm-hmm.
I could take a break from work or not. I said, but what it would do is give you options.
Yes.
I said, when you have options, it's a great feeling. He said, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And as I left in the taxi, picked me up and driving to the next hotel, I'm thinking, I said, I thought you were supposed to not talking about finances. I said, I thought you were not supposed to be speaking about, because there's what I tell myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
I move away from it and I'm not going to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
I said, but you know what? It's something that I'm passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
And I
That's
would
important.
tell them, I said, I don't know if you believe in God or not, but I do believe in God.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe this, however the case might be. So I'm getting to share what I'm passionate about
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
with people all over the world,
Mm-hmm.
right? And as I'm saying, I don't know what next God have for me, but this is where I am. And I will advise anyone. One of the things traveling does,
Mm-hmm.
it widens your view about the world.
Yes, most definitely.
Because whether you think so or not, look at it. The first time I went to China was Beijing in 2023.
Mm-hmm.
Nikki, I thought I didn't have a preconceived notion about China.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I thought.
Mm.
But when I went there, even in the public transportation, I was so like I was shocked when I see the people like they're dressing nicely, they're having fun, the kids. It's then I said, yes, you did have a preconceived notion about these
Mm.
people. Why? Because why are you shocked? Because they're doing normal things.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm in New York and I see a group of young teenagers or young people dressed nice and they're hanging out and having fun, I won't be shocked.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm shocked because these people live in that life, the transportation system is incredible,
Mm-hmm.
is easy to navigate. The announcement is in Chinese and then it's in English, so
Okay.
you know your next stop,
Oh, good.
right? So why am I so shocked? Because of these natural things. That
Mm.
means I had a preconceived notion about the country. And the only way is the little bit saying. So if you only live one, whether you're in the US, you're in Canada, wherever you are in the world, and if you don't venture out from your area, you are missing out so much in life.
I agree.
And what you realize, yes, you realize that people are people everywhere.
Yeah, people are
You see,
peopling.
yes, yes, you see the interacting with children. You will see a parent turn around and give a child a look, and you know that look.
Mm-hmm.
You see it in the Black culture, you see it in any culture. They give that child that look, and you know what is that look. But what it gives us so much
Yes.
traveling. It
Mm-hmm.
really, really do. It really, really do. Is you going through, you're going through, you're learning a lot about culture.
Mm-hmm.
You're seeing things and you understanding that certain things, even without they saying it, you'd see the interaction.
Mm-hmm.
Certain things are not accepted and certain things are accepted,
Right.
right? You'll be shocked about certain things too. And
Mm-hmm.
what I realize now is like everybody around the world have the face in the phone.
Mm-hmm.
They're like this. They have the face in the phone and they will be eating their food.
Mm.
And you go all over. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I,
At all
I've,
ages.
yeah, I can't to this day.
Mhm.
I can't just me. I can't. like even when I'm out eating, or whether I'm eating out with a friend, I'm eating out with my husband. I'm taking that experience in as a gift. I want to be as
Yes,
present as
yes.
possible. So just for me, I cannot be in the phone because, and just, like even with traveling, it's good that you're seeing that of how what's going on in the US is, it could be fortunate and unfortunate going on in other parts of the world.
All over the
But
world.
even when I travel, I want to take in as much as I can. So that's why even
Yes,
sometimes,
yes.
yeah, I might take a record a video or take a picture, but
Mm.
then after that, I want to hurry up and get off of it so I can like be present. And like you
Yes,
said, I'm a
yes,
people watcher.
yes,
Most of the
yes.
places that I go to, I'm like you, Paula, I would sit on a bench. I would sit on the bench and just
Yeah,
be watching people. Like, and
here,
there's been so many,
it is
there's,
beautiful.
yeah, just to learn because when we're going, and I love this on your website where it talks about going farther, but it's also like, bringing you closer to somewhere to
Where
where
you're
you
supposed to
belong.
be.
And
Yes,
that's what it is for me. I feel like, this is a prayer or intention that I love to put out. I say, God, open me up to see the things that you want me to see, hear the things that you want me to
yes,
hear, learn what you want me to learn. Because when I am in the presence of other people, I'm seeing a different version of myself. No, to
yes,
me, no matter
yes,
what state or country, I'm getting to learn something. So even if someone is doing something that I've never seen before, like you said, it opens me up
yes,
because now I just learned
yes,
or was given something, like you said with
yes,
of course you've been way more countries than me, but like when I would go to different places, I was like, oh, this is what Nikki does back in the US, but they do this differently here. So I get to learn or take on if I
yes,
choose
yes,
a different way
yes,
of
yes.
getting on the bus or something like that. And that's
Mhm.
what I welcome people to do when we go out and are gifted with somebody else's experience, because when we're people watching,
Yes,
we're being gifted, right? To me, it's very
yes,
similar to watching a favorite TV show or movie. You're getting to see someone's life
yes,
story play out. Open
yes,
yourself up to
yes,
instead of
yes,
saying, well, they do this like this at back home, though this is a true home, but they do this back in the US. Allow yourself to say, oh, I get to see how other people
yes,
ride the subway.
yes.
I get to see it. Traveling for me is, like you said, it is it is part of my lifestyle. To me, it's
Yes.
more than a vacation. It's how I live.
No.
You know, I
Yes, yes,
tell
yes.
I tell people all the time when I hear that phrase of having a bucket list, I say instead of calling it a bucket list, call it a list. So it gives you more reasons to live instead of thinking
Yeah.
you have to wait towards the end of the road here physically to go do these things. We can do these things now. We can do these things now. We have, and I get it, we have adopted so many narratives, right? We take them on, and I love that you took accountability and say, hey, this is what I was doing. Like in ignorance, so is that. But that don't mean it's a bad, people might think, oh, to call someone ignorant, or though I don't believe in being, offending nobody, but even to call myself ignorant, it's just saying I didn't know. But that doesn't mean once you get that
Yes,
awareness that you start, okay, once you get that awareness, it's up to you to start doing differently. And it's
yes,
like
yes,
when I would, again, learn people, I don't care if I'm going to somewhere else, because I'm still learning this new state that we're living in
Yes.
Texas. So when
Yes.
I'm still like, oh, okay, so I go down the road here and I do this, and I'm asking people all the time, how do I get here, or just learning them.
Yes.
I stop people all the
Yes.
time and have conversations, and do not quote unquote know these people, but I know them or know more of them by the time I'm
Yes. By
I'm
the time
done
you
with the
finish. Yes.
conversation. And I,
Yes. Yes.
and I know for again for me, because like you said, which I love that you do on your YouTube channel, and I'm a believer and practice this as well. I speak of what I know. That's the only
Yeah.
thing I'm going from
Yeah.
my spirit,
Yes.
because I want to give people what, again, my experience, but I can only really speak in truth in
Yes.
by giving you what I went through. Me personally, that's why when I do bring people on, I want them to share their experience, because who else
Yeah.
better to tell of
Yeah.
their life than them? So,
Mhm.
and when I travel now, it's more than me, which just as well as you, I'm pretty sure you have people ask you all the time, hey, Paula, like the young man that you met in Texas, hey, how are you able to do this? Now you being able to be an example that is
Yes.
possible and what we're
Mhm.
given from it. It's
Yes.
like I do the same thing, Paula. I be just so amazed, like going to different places and then hear these people that I might meet at different kind of places or excursions or restaurants be like, hey, where are you from? I'm from Sweden. I'm from Spain. And then we get to talk and get to learn each other stuff. I'm like, wow, this is so cool. And it just
Yes.
allows you to not venture out physically, but you're venturing out here. So even if I'm talking to someone, I can be, I don't know, in Hawaii and talking to someone from Switzerland, and then I start playing in my mind, which I love to do. Oh, how is Switzerland? Oh, we do this and do that. So then I'm like, do. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. So I need to put that on my list. Oh, I like that they do that. Oh, I need to try that, see if I could do that back when I get back to the States, you know? And let me say this. Let me say this, okay? We spend money and time on so many different things. And just like you told that young man, if we could put $50 to the side. Yeah, I'm a person where, yeah, not necessarily a budget, but I like to write down and keep track of
Mhm.
of money, right? Or finances.
Mhm.
So, and all it is to me is manipulation.
Yeah.
So whether I'm paying for streaming services, whether I'm
Mhm.
paying for Zoom, you got to ask yourself, what's important to
Mhm.
you? What's important to you?
Yes.
Because if you want to go travel, and yes, you want to put
Mhm.
some money to the side, manipulate or move their money around, and I bet you see that's maybe some streaming services you could put to the side for a little bit. Maybe you can, do something different as far as eating, where yes, I'm a lover of restaurants and so forth, but maybe you might want to grocery shop for a little bit, put some money
Yeah.
aside. I believe
Mhm.
that is, for the most, I can speak for myself, as well as I did have been doing the same, talking to people about traveling. How do you do it? How do you do it? I was like, it's not as hard as you think. You just got to ask yourself, is this important to me? And for
Yes.
for for my relationship with God the divine, God just gives more ways and opportunities because I'm doing things that I love. And then as well as you, Paula, you're sharing that passion with other, and it's helping them to feel better. When we feeling better, we doing better. I want to go back to what you
Yes.
said earlier about being overworked. Hands,
Mhm.
both that was me too. It's like, oh, again, these narratives, these stories that's being told to us, and we're just following along, right?
Yes.
That this is what you're supposed to do, Nikki. You're supposed to work, work, work. Especially when I was working as a nurse, it's like, oh, you gotta not take your breaks, not even take. I would be that nurse that would be at the computer eating my food and not really enjoying it, or taking the time for
Yes.
my body to process and digest this food, because I'm thinking of the next thing I gotta do. It's like I was not allowing myself those spaces to just be and to just breathe.
Mhm.
So when I had left it alone twice, and this is the second time I just left it all the way alone. I had to take accountability of my own self as well and say,
Yeah.
okay, this is what has happened from you deciding. Even if someone told me, oh, work
Yes.
these 10, 12 hours, I decided to take this on. And when I said,
Yeah.
okay, and it was a blessing to me, because when I passed out on the expressway some years ago, was it 2019, it was a wake-up call. It was like, okay, you're low iron or low hemoglobin, but it was really telling me that you're low. You're deficient. And what
Yeah.
you thinking that you're doing is bringing extra to you, is actually taken away. And a lot of people
Yes.
like really do not understand. So I know many people talk about not staying away from the woo woo, right? And the woo
Mhm.
woo may be spirituality and stuff. And if that's not where a person is, that's fine. I'm not here to try to convince or whatever. I can only speak from my own example. But I
Yeah.
love living in a woo woo. But I also, because
Mhm.
that woo woo is a space of control, where you would just allow yourself to be. And sometimes even the woo woo is to help us to not have to figure everything out. Like you said, you allowing
Mm.
God to write
Mm. Yeah.
to order
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
steps. But
Yes.
if people need a scientific evidence of why breaks are important, I invite you all to take count or take notice of your body each time you go through a stressful experience. And I'm here to tell you that it has been scientifically proven that each time we go through a stressful event, it's like our body has lost hours of
Yeah.
sleep. And if we keep doing that, not allowing ourselves to get a break, not allowing, and sometimes again, the traveling is to put us somewhere else, to take us away from that rat race. Each time, not only are our bodies are feeling like it needs more rest, we are
Mhm.
actually taking away from ourselves. Our
Yes.
magnesium lowers,
Yeah.
different minerals that our bodies need to function. We're depleting it. We're
Yes.
depleting it. And it's like, here it is, nurse, and I'm telling other people, like you said in your website, you telling everybody else to travel. I'm telling everybody else what to do, oh, this and do that or whatever. And I was like, what? And my body was like, hey, hello. You
Yeah.
wanna you wanna take some of your own advice?
Yeah.
Hello? And God had to sit me down when I passed out, Paula, on the expressway at night, gone for 30 seconds. I don't care what those doctors say. God bless you all, doctors, whatever, but I know what happened to me. 30 seconds gone. I just felt like how, remember them old school shades? It was like
Yeah.
most of them was cream. I felt like one of those came over my eyes,
Over.
but black. And I thought,
Ah.
and I really thought I was gone that day, Paula. I was like, oh, wow. So I'm going like this, God. I was like, wow. And then I woke up. And then I started thinking in
Mhm.
the hospital, I was like, because by this time, I'm like, okay, I know it's more than just the blood, what's going on in my blood. I say, you really
Mhm.
trying to tell me something? What are you trying to tell me?
Yeah.
More and more. So here it is, that yes, I'm taking better care of myself, right? But I also want other people to know the importance of taking care of themselves. You know, and
Yes.
and again, traveling, it helps you to, it should remind you to take a break. Like I said
Yeah.
earlier, to the rest is needed, you all. I know in the US, much is told about hustle, 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 hustle. but everything, if you ain't running, if somebody ain't running out of a fiery building or something like that, everything don't gotta be in a rush.
No.
We have to learn how to take our time and allow the different processes to go on in our body, but also to be given this download from the mighty divine of what we supposed to be doing, because
Yes.
divine source will tell you if you're willing to listen. But sometimes we
Yeah.
get so busy in the mind,
Mhm.
and oh, like you said with the house, you was like, oh, I gotta call, I gotta do the thing with the taxes, I gotta call these people and then put this new door on. Oh shoot, I gotta get my floors done. And I'm the same way, Paula. Me and my husband had decided when we got together that was not in our plan. And at this time, what we are still being given is to not allow that into our lives right now. So, and that frees up, just like freeing up money. You was telling that young man,
Yeah.
sometimes that's what God is exactly telling you
Yeah.
to do. You need to free
Yeah.
some up.
Yes.
The traveling, it might be a small part of it, but I'm trying to actually
Yes.
help you
Yes. It is.
to
Yes.
think
It
of
is.
something different that you need
Yes.
to get rid of, that you don't need or you could put away for a
Yes.
while.
Yeah. That's why I said this is the first time, because when my father died at age 8,
Mm-hmm.
I went into full-fledged worry,
Mm,
because I grew up in a home where my father took care of the home, right?
mm,
So for me at age 8, it was the loss of everything.
mm,
And I would say that is the most traumatic thing that ever happened in my life. And I'm heading for 62.
mm,
When my father died at age 8, it pulled the entire rug from under my feet.
mm,
Although I was the second, I had older brothers and sisters, I
mm,
don't think other than my mother, my father death affected any other Bambi. And
mm,
it started to worry. I started to worry. So
mm,
I went through life till into my 50s, always worrying, always worrying, always worrying. But when I was going through this change, I had a conversation with my daughter. And I told her, I said, if I don't change, something is going to happen.
mm,
I don't know what it is, but I have a strong feelings it would not be good.
mm,
Because Nikki, my brains, you see my temple here,
mhm,
was like if someone prick it and drop a little bit of pepper sauce inside of it,
mm.
along with a punch. So it was paining and
Ooh,
burning. I
ooh.
was I was so stressed. And after so many years of worrying, I reach a point, that's why, like a home is a form of responsibility.
Mhm,
I cannot be doing anything that will entail too much of worrying or concern. No.
mm,
Like when I'm traveling now, I could plan, look for December into January. I had a whole plan to go to Japan. I didn't like the airfare, I canceled it.
mhm,
When I was coming out in November, I would had a whole week plan for Paris. I just decided I don't want to go to Paris anymore, and I changed. I have to be in this position where I could be flexible.
mhm,
I have to be in a position, even when I book hotel rooms, I don't book like a one whole month straight. It might stay the month there or the 6 weeks at that hotel, but it's
uh-huh,
a 2 weeks or 2 weeks or 2 weeks, because anytime during the 2 weeks, I'll cancel the other 2 weeks,
uh-huh.
right? For the first time in as long as I could remember, I'm at this space. And I honestly believe this, what my father did. He was saying, you need you need rest.
Mm,
So I have to, in this way, bring out this whole thing. I know you would like traveling, but I have to bring you to a point because I don't know of anyone personally, no friend, no family, no one that, say, for instance, I know personally in the last 5 years that is doing what I'm doing.
mm,
Right? And I could remember one of my clients, she said, a client friend, she said, so Paul, where would you put all your dresses? And I was laughing to myself. I said, dresses do you think I have, right? But it is
Mm,
strange for you just want to give up your home, a
mm,
car, a profession that you had for 27 years, I walk
mm.
away from,
Wow. That's
just to
good.
move from one country to the other.
Mm-hmm.
And when I look at it, it's by the grace of God. Nikki,
Yes.
there's no other way. It's the grace of God. And along the way, He gave me little tools like couponing
Mm,
and get into points and miles because all of that make me. So all the time I was doing those things was in preparation
mm,
for now.
mm-hmm.
So sometimes he
Yep.
might give you a little interest now. He said, "Oh, no, you don't know why suddenly he wants you to do little dressmaking.
Mm-hmm.
You think, oh, I'm a secretary. Why? No, follow it because God is preparing you for down the road,
Yep. It's all
right?
part of the plan.
You look at it in the Bible. When he turned water into wine, the water was there.
Mm-hmm.
Even the widow that was prepared to die because she didn't had enough money to pay the debtors. When God sent the angel, he told her use the oil that was already there. He asked her what she had. She said she just have a little bit of oil. He said that was it. God always use what you have.
Mm,
He always knew. So everything you see, we might be interested in 10, 20 years down the road, pass. And we think it's all part of the plan.
yes,
And
I
we're
believe
going to
that.
see these things. We're going to see these things. So it's when and for the years I'm doing points and miles and couponing,
Mm-hmm.
I try to get everybody involved.
Uh-huh.
Only one friend did, and so happened about 3 years ago, she died.
Oh.
And now I see my daughter is paying a lot of interest in it, right? But no one. And I keep telling them, I said, your everyday spending, you see how you talk about you just perhaps not going to the restaurant as much as possible or look at a streaming service, but then you just look at, I have to pay my bills.
Mm-hmm.
Why not use the payment for the bills to travel?
Mm-hmm.
Right? I tell people I don't use cash. I have
Mm-hmm.
a problem if you ask me to use cash.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm like out here in Malaysia, I had to change money for cash. I don't like cash.
Mm-hmm.
I run everything through my credit cards
Okay.
because I'm going to pay, but every penny counts.
Mm-hmm.
Every penny counts. So I look at if I pay a bill, I must be getting something out of that money that I paid. Other
Mm-hmm.
than, say, for instance, is my phone.
Mm-hmm.
It's not only the phone service. I must be getting something, either points, mile, cash back, something from it. And
Mm-hmm.
that was it. And when I start thinking that way, I was not thinking about traveling.
Mm-hmm.
It just, now I look back, God was part of the preparation. I start saying every penny counts.
Mm-hmm.
So if I spend $1, I must get something, two or three things out of the $1.
Mm-hmm.
It must pay for whatever I spend it on, plus I must be making cash back, or I must be making points, or I must be making miles. And in some cases, based on how I maneuver the transaction, I get cash back, points, and miles.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So when I start doing that, and I was accumulating those miles there and those points there, I was not traveling.
Mm-hmm.
I was not traveling like how I'm traveling now.
Mm.
So there is what God does. And he comes to each one of his children. But sometimes we allow fear, or we go to somebody and we trying to get they to okay whatever we're doing.
Mm.
And they would say, no, it's not because they don't want the best for us. They did not get the message.
Exactly.
The
Exactly.
memo didn't come to them. The
That's
memo
true.
come to you. And
Yep.
then sometimes we need to, oh, I had to go to this body and I go to that body. And by nature, that is not who I am. And
I
it's
would,
not that, oh, hmm?
oh no, I just want to I want to share a story about that.
Yeah.
I'm giggling and I giggle every time. Sometimes even if I'm not talking to someone about this, but sometimes I think of it and I giggle to myself. So years ago, when, nursing, right? And I had stopped the second time I went back to it, I had stopped doing full-time jobs, right? And what I
Mhm.
would do is the great thing of nursing, and just know you all, when I speak of nursing, I am still grateful for that opportunity, the experience, and the learning, the people
Mhm.
I met. It's just that time is over for me. So
Yeah, yeah.
um, when I was when I went back the second time, the great thing of nursing was that a lot of jobs you can do contracts. That's what I want to say. You got to do
Mhm,
contracts,
mhm.
like you said. I got to talk to you about that, but we are so similar in this, where you could go through an agency. You either work somewhere for a day, you can
Mhm.
sign up to work there for a week, 2 weeks, or whatever. And I had learned how to maneuver that system when and no matter what they say, they were like, "Oh, well, this place wants somebody for 3 months." I'm like, "I'm not willing to do 3 months. Let's go 2 weeks and see if I like it." So, and I get, I'm like, "No, I'm not committing." And I
Fine,
got
now
the
3 months is too long.
right, no, we got to see if we a good fit for each other. And things change, so I don't know. And I got there from a couple of jobs I worked at, but one place in particular, and this is what happened. I am a firm believer. I am a practice of my
Mhm.
time, right? I am
Mhm.
very my husband would tell you all the time, if I even if I'm going somewhere else, I believe in I practice that if it's 7 o'clock, and I know I had got this from, working in healthcare, but 7 o'clock, if your shift starts at 7 o'clock and you there at 7 o'clock, you late. I'm a person that believes in, being there early,
Yes,
because
you
my time,
cannot. Yeah.
yeah, my time is important, and whatever whoever the nurse is, I know she or
Mhm.
he or that person is ready to, go home. So anyway, I was working at this particular place full time, and I was, by this time I was starting to travel more and more, and I was a person that loves to be mindful of others, right? So I had saw a trip, and I want to say I had started planning this trip. It had to be in the winter time because it was snow on the ground when I still live in Chicago, and we was going in May. So I went
Mhm.
to the supervisor, Paula, to let her know that, hey, I'm gonna be gone. We're gonna be gone, my husband and I, but I'm gonna be gone from work these particular days. So she said,
It may.
because the rule was, well, just give 30 days ahead notice. I said, well, I'm just letting you know now. So, you'll know
Mhm.
that I'll be gone. So then some time had passed, about a couple weeks. And I said, hey, I haven't got an email, about you approving that time that I'm going to be gone in the May. She was like,
Mhm.
well, she said it again. She's like, well, just wait 30 days ahead of time. And she was like, well, she was like, I'm not sure if I'm going to approve it or not. Permission. I'm letting you know that I'm going to be gone. I'm letting you know what you need to do. You need to get another nurse in this, because Nikki would not be here. Okay. So not too long after that, I left that job. I separated myself because, and it was nothing against her or whatever. But like you said,
No.
I had to listen to myself. And it was more, of course, than me traveling to, I forget where we was going that particular. I think we was going to Cuba that year. But anyway, it was a message to me, Paula, that I told you, because what I did, I knew I was only supposed to be at that place part time. And I
Mhm.
was starting to, hear more about these agencies, work for these nursing agencies, Nikki, so you can have more freedom and you can work as little as much as you want to. But I
Yeah.
was hearing, Paula, I need you detached. I need you
Yeah.
detached. I need you to be able to, if I say you got
Mhm.
to be somewhere next week, I,
Mhm.
I need for you to be there next week.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I think that was the last place in Chicagoland that I had worked at full time, if I can recall. And then a lot of other places. Then after that, I would, like I said, I would work through an agency, work what they call PRN as needed. And you're like
Mhm.
they're on staff.
Mhm.
agency, in-house agency, and I worked. I tried it again, right? I caught myself, oh, like you said, when you got the apartment, I was like, oh, well, maybe I try it again. When we was living in South Florida, I got this. Yeah, I was like, oh, well, man, maybe I'll try it again. But God had to remind me, but it's okay. We was in South Florida. We was living in South Florida, residing, and I got this great opportunity to work at this treatment center, and the benefits was wonderful and everything. And that's how sometimes we get tricked, right? It was like, oh,
Yes,
but
yes,
this but this
yes.
sounds like a good
Some little
offer.
shiny, I think it's come and throw us off track.
Paula, I was there maybe 2 months, and after that, I was like, Nikki, I had to have a conversation with myself, which I do often, like, Nikki, now you know what you're supposed to be doing. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I'm not supposed to be doing. So a little while. So after that, I was doing the agency again. I was going through schools, to schools and different. And then after that, when we came up here to Texas, I was like, I can't no more. I'm not supposed to no more. These situations that was happening, and that's how I like to look at things. I don't see everything as bad. I see everything as how is it
No,
working out for my good.
a lesson, yeah, for you. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
because like, that's true of what it said. God will provide you a way out. I
yeah,
firmly believe and walk in that, Paula. It's like no matter what things is looking
yeah,
like, who I am today. Now, maybe Nikki of 30 years ago be like, oh, that, but now I sit still and I be
yeah,
like, I'm like, it's
yeah,
something supposed to be coming from this. I
yeah,
have to, I gotta, I
yeah.
gotta allow myself to be open to receive the message. So, like even now, like I told you, with traveling and just different things that I do, my husband do, we have to be detached from things
Yeah,
and truly
yeah,
walk in faith.
yeah, yeah,
Truly walk in faith.
yeah.
So here it is.
Yes, yes.
My husband left his full-time job and was it 2017, I think. And quote unquote, making great money from this job, whatever. I left nursing that you can make all, this money or whatever like that. And we totally left it alone. And God was like, yes, I've been waiting for you all to trust me. And
Yes. And he provides.
yes, that's how miracles happen, Paula,
Yeah,
outside of
yeah,
our
yeah,
understanding. But if we
yeah.
try to figure every single thing out,
Everything else, be in
then
trouble.
we're not really
But he
walking
can't
in faith.
work. No, we can't work. God don't need
Mm-mm,
any help. So
mm-mm,
either you're all in or you're all out. He
mm-hmm.
don't need any help from us. All we would like us is to trust him.
Yes.
I'm telling you here, I could remember I in 19 2000.
Okay.
It's 2001, they
Mm-hmm.
had the World Trade. In 2000, I could remember that time I was living in Queens,
Mm-hmm.
waiting for this annoying bus, which takes forever to come. And I was working at the Bank of New York. And I said, if next year, that was the March month, I said, if next year I'm standing in this line, in this
mm,
bus,
mm.
no, is that I'm working with myself because I started doing financial service part-time and then I was at the bank.
Okay.
I said, the next year, it so happened the financial services, the income start increasing, and I just keep saving all of those checks. Up comes September 11th. And that morning, I was next to the second tower that fell in New York. I
Wow.
was at the Bank of New York, right next to the second tower.
Oh.
And the first thing when I realized what happened, because the popping song, if you're in downtown Manhattan, they're always drilling something, they always got some construction going on. As we used to joke, somebody trying to buy a boat, so the construction going on forever. So the first song, I swear, I said they might be hit a gas line somewhere. Make
Mm.
this popping song. When I realized that, I start thinking about all the parents, all the people who did not want to come to work that morning, but they were scared of being fired. They
Oh.
left home, left a sick child home. They didn't say goodbye. All these things, they come. And I look at it as, secondly, the first thing when I decided in the March, the June month, July month, I went out to Texas. No, went out to New Orleans because TD Jakes had a Woman Thou Art Loose conference. And I attended in New Orleans. And the only thing I remember about that conference, it was like a 4 days. The first morning, we had the night like an opening session on the Saturday. What I remember is him coming on stage. He had on a white t-shirt. And as he walking on stage, he said, you have to think outside the box.
Yes.
And Nikki, when this man said that, it's like if I get a hit in my chest here, and I knew if no one else in the whole stadium, the message was to me. I have to think outside the box. Thinking about leaving my job as a single woman, ain't got no particular money, and have nobody giving she no money, nothing at all. I ain't on welfare, nothing. Thinking about leaving a job is loony. Right?
They'll be like, what's wrong with you, Paula?
Yeah, when I went back here now,
doing?
when we went back to the hotel room, right? I had two friends there, which I had told them I'm leaving. No one said anything to me before. But then they said, because one was an RN, just like you, who works for uno amount of money out of New York. The other one was a teacher. Her husband was maybe a vice president of Chase Manhattan, Chase Manhattan Bank, living a great life. Out of these three women, I was the broke single one, right? They all had relationships and husband, and they all making $1. Paula making $0 in comparison with them, right? My bank money was nothing in comparison with them. And they said, yes, Paula, you should think about leaving. I just said, did you hear what TD Jakes just said? He said, think outside the box. I said, I've been figuring out things for a while. It's time God take on his problem.
Yeah.
I'm his problem. And I left the bank. I left the bank.
Yeah.
And Nikki, all the major changes I made in my life, they all, if you look at especially in a financial way, they never make sense. They were never good financial moves. Any financial advisor, anybody who looking at the money, and even some believers will say, okay, let's work some more safer before you leave in case it's a rainy day. But when you see God put something inside of me, when I look back, I say, Paul, you were a lunatic, what you did. But when you see he put it in me, and I mention it to them, and over the years, I find that I do things than everybody else knows. Why? Because I have something in my head. I'm not, and I cannot say something to you and then tell you how to react.
Right.
Your reaction might be, yes, Paul is excellent, or Paul, why are you doing that? And I don't want to hear why you're doing that. So I just don't say anything, right? I keep it to me, regardless of how crazy it is, and I suss it out with my father, and then I work on it. God cannot work if we trying to do it.
Yeah.
And here, sometimes he tell us leave something for a while. Because he just testing you to see if you really trust him.
Yeah.
And then who knows? He may bring you right back to the profession or whatever it is, but it's just you being tested.
Yeah.
Right? You being tested. And another thing too, God need us on earth as his foot soldier. We're the ones to further his kingdom. So in order for us to further his kingdom, we have to have current God words. Okay, we have the Bible. all the things that he did in the Bible. But person, even if they didn't say it, you go feel it happening that time, right? But God need us to able to say about what he's doing now.
Right. I
And
agree.
he need his children in order to further his kingdom.
Mm.
And another thing too, he need children, and some of us might be have some more crazy experience with God.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because God knows we run we mouth. God knows we're going to talk about his goodness.
Mm-hmm.
I know people who God work in the life. I know personally, but you won't ever hear they repeating it.
Mm.
They wouldn't want somebody to know that they were in a valley,
Mm.
right? So because of that, you wouldn't know the foreclosure God saved them from, or the house that he saved, or the car that he saved, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or the time they were about to be locked up, and it's by God's grace they're in the big jinx now.
Mm-hmm.
But they would not speak about it.
Mm.
No, because it's not giving God the glory. It's a Nikki to know how my life was messed up sometime or the other, or for people to say, well, oh, Paul, I didn't know. Oh, Paul, I'm going to be a thief. We don't want those things. Some
Mm.
people don't.
Right.
So God still, he would keep working. He still need persons who would tell of his goodness.
Paula, thank you for reminding me of that. So that's why I started the Hill Spot podcast. It was
Yeah.
given to me when we were still residing in South Florida and I say residing because living is any and everywhere. When
Yeah.
I would talk to people about traveling, going to different places, right? I tell them that you're living there. So if you are
Yeah. Yeah.
residing in Texas, you're still living in Mexico and Switzerland and Germany and Japan. You don't
Yeah.
stop living when you go travel somewhere else. But so like when I talk to people about that, but also about the Hill Spot podcast. So when I originally started the YouTube, it was to share only traveling. But then what was given to me is share more of you, Nikki, because this is what was told to me. I do these practices where I just sit still and I listen. And
Mhm.
it's to me, it's more than meditation. It's just allowing myself to be given what I need to do and confirm things in me, right?
Yes. Yes.
And the original plan was to share traveling. But then I heard, um, yes, that's fine, right? I want you to share that, but I will also, what was told to me, what you have been through in your life isn't
Yeah.
only for you, Nikki. You you
Yes.
you
Yes.
have
Yes.
you
Yes.
have to start sharing more of
Yeah.
what you've been through, and because like I would hear people say to me that how can you be positive all the time? And it's not that I'm positive all the time. I just have a different look on life. I don't believe
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
staying in a state of confusion stuff because I know what that does to our health as well. But because again, I have to say to myself, this isn't happening to me, it's happening for me. I know it is. And I
Yes.
know that because
Yes.
of
Yes.
all the many things that I have been through in my past. And I know there's going to be challenges and life lessons in the future. So even with the Hill Spot podcast, I had to stop doing interviews for a while because what was told to me, I need you to tell more of what you've been through. Share more of your story. Share, share,
Yes.
share, share. And when I would get, people tell me this, like you said, it was like, oh, I didn't know you experienced that and that. And it's like, yes, I want people to know that we can still live on this planet. You know,
Yes.
we can go through these different things and still have joy in our life. We can
Yes.
still have just do these different or have these different ways of living. When I wrote the first book, Black Girl Gone Guru, that's exactly what it was supposed to be for. To inspire people, because who can really tell their whole life story, right? No
Yeah.
one. I mean, we're going to
Mhm.
continue to live this story,
Yeah.
even when we leave this physical, home or whatever, this body, what's called a body, the story continues because even after that transition, it's going to be other people sharing of how what they
Yes.
experienced with Paula and
Yeah.
Nikki. So
Yeah.
it's like I'm not ashamed because whatever I went through, and like I said, went through, it has made me better. So
Yes.
a lot of stuff, of course, was public, right? So I got pregnant the first time when I was a teenager in high school. Before I left high school, I had set of twins the first time and a single child, which is the only children I have on this planet. But even that, a lot of stuff needed to be public to
Yes.
so
Yeah.
for because it was all part of the plan. So
Yes.
later on, and still to this day, when I get calls about going to go speak to young girls, that have been through different kind of hardships and so forth,
Mhm.
it's like I'm I get to be
You
the
could
living
tell them
word.
about it.
Yes,
Yes. Yeah.
because like you
Yes.
said, we need more people that's going to live the
Yeah.
word more than just say it, because
Yeah.
it's easy, like I said, I like to speak from what I know. and
Mhm.
and if I read something, even when I was in school, I would get tested, right? We're like, oh, okay, yeah, so we would have well, all of his academics, but we would have lecture, right? We would have lecture, and the professors teach us this, da, da, da. Then we had lab when I was in the school for nursing, where we would go practice, but we was practicing
Mhm.
on mannequins and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Nothing
It's
that
not the
was
real thing.
right, but Paula, when we hit that clinical floor,
Yes.
something totally different. That's when
Yes. It
you
is.
really being tested
No.
and
Yeah.
challenged at what you know, because I know you heard of this about being book smart, and then about people using their,
Yeah.
I try not to say common sense, but using their senses.
Yeah.
So, and I say this from my own learning, I struggled with lecture and some of my tests in the beginning because I had a lot of stuff going on. I was in this situation or whatever, but when I would hit the floor, as they used to say, or clinical, a lot of stuff would come. I would be able to see things that a lot of other students, couldn't see. And that's because of the stuff that I've been through. So, like,
Yes.
if I'm like, oh, this patient is, saying that this and this and that is wrong with them, but I'll be like, oh, that's because of this and that, da, 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 da. And they like, well, how you know that? I'm like, oh, because I've seen that before. I know what that look, just all of that. So it's we I get it. A lot of stuff should be private, right?
Yeah.
But then when we should not be shamed that we
Mhm.
experienced something, we
Yeah.
and we got through it, and it's like, just to me, it's for me. For me, it's
Yeah.
difficult to say that I believe and
Mhm.
I'm not willing to do the work. And,
Yes.
and and that means all that it entails.
Mhm.
So again, a lot of times, especially down here, I've been doing a lot of mentorships with young girls, and I tell them, I'm like, ask me questions, and I'm gonna do my best to answer them for you.
Yes. Yeah.
And don't be ashamed. There's no stupid question. There's no, if I'm able to answer, I answer, not answer. But if it's a practice for you to question things, it's a practice for
Yes.
you to use your voice. So it's like that's what God wants us to do. But
Mhm.
like even with the YouTube channel, because I know you have two YouTube channels. You're
Yeah.
speaking about your
The first.
faith and you talking
Yes.
about your travel.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and I'm pretty sure you know this, but it's like even sharing that, doing these YouTube channels, yes, that's work, but then it's also
Yeah.
the work of you listening to what
Yeah.
you are being told or guided to do,
Yeah.
sharing your life. to
Yeah.
be the example, to be
Yeah.
the living work,
Yeah.
and be the guide for
Yeah.
other people. Because just reading something ain't enough. You have to
No.
live it.
Yes.
There's something that is taught. There's something, there's a difference between being smart and being wise. Wise is the
Yeah.
person that has applied what they was taught and they got an
Yeah.
understanding from it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's why more because I call us C's and I would never call myself old, but that's why I believe like even when I was younger and when they would say call people certain people elders or wise, that's because they went through some stuff
Yeah.
and they looking
Yeah.
at you and they telling you like this would be common
That
thing.
don't work.
Right. They'll be like, oh, to do this, and the other, you'll be okay. Just keep on living. And that's where I'm at now, where it's like, wow. When I was, 20s, 30s, I'd be like, man, how's this gonna work out and all this other stuff? And now I'm just to this point, I was like, I don't worry like I can't even say that,
No.
yeah, because it creates
No.
suffering. It's
No. Here. Here. You know what? You know what, Nikki, when I first started the first YouTube channel, I
mm-hmm,
talk about your frame of reference, your
mm-hmm,
foundational tools.
mm-hmm.
One of it is your frame of reference. What is your frame of reference? Is that if you can't remember it right away, write down all the ways God had worked in your life.
Mm-hmm.
That is your frame of reference.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because it's the same thing coming around looking a bit different.
Yep.
And if you look at now, I'm this, but then look what he brought me to with this.
Mm-hmm.
This was more worse. This was the law. This I could have lose this. I could have died, whatever the case may be. So this whatever problem is shortage of money now is nothing in comparison with what I went through. And he brought me through.
Yes, yes.
After a while now, you reach a point because after I spent so many years of worrying, and I could say I had to, I was forced to
Mm-hmm.
start thinking differently because my brains could not take on the worry anymore.
Mm,
Honestly,
mm, mm,
honestly, my brains could not take on the worry because it started when I was age 8. So I went
mm.
right through all of those years worrying,
Wow.
right?
Wow.
So right now I look at it. My father brought me to X, Y, and Z. And that's why I say he's a crazy dude, because he's a crazy dude in my life. Someone had said, some very religious person had told me, oh, you wouldn't say that. I said, here, I don't know about you and he relationship,
Right.
but I know the two we relationship, and he know why he's saying he's a crazy dude. I don't know how he work in your life, but
Right.
I could say he's a crazy dude because it is crazy things. Because Nikki, times that he work in my life, I know when I tell people they do not believe,
Mm,
they don't.
mm,
Right? They do not believe. And I feel it in the response. And then afterwards, something they might say 2, 3 months down the road, I realize they never did believe me. But
mm.
really, I don't care
Right.
whether they believe me or not. My father, which is more important to me, knows that I'm not lying.
Mm,
Right? And since he's the person who's going to decide my tomorrow, I don't have to say, Father, when I hang up from Nikki, sorry about the lie, will just tell Nikki. No, I don't have that.
mm,
Right? So whether someone wants to believe or not, who cares?
mm,
Right? But I know he knows it is it. So if we start looking back, would we feel worried at times? Yes.
mm,
Would you get, but what it is, it won't hang out for hours and days and weeks. You won't get headache and all of that. Because just as it pop up, as a human being, you would feel, you will go back. Father, help me with this because I know when I didn't needed this iron, what was it? You worked through. That is our frame of reference.
mm-hmm,
And if we
mm-hmm,
do not develop it, or if we do not, another thing, just if we don't want to acknowledge is God work it out.
mm-hmm,
If I feel it's my brilliance or my personality or my contact or whatever the case might be, give all these breakthroughs, I don't have a frame of reference because I never attributed to him. So when something now pop up, how could I say, oh, God worked this out? No, it wasn't God. Remember, it's this body who had the contact, who gave this body, or it was my intelligence or my whatever it is. But for me, I know everything because I don't have the beauty, the contact, the money, whatever the case might be. So everything is because of him.
Yeah.
Right? I don't have a backup. I don't have nothing to reflect on. But some people, they might not even be conscious. They might be thinking, oh, it's because of what they could do or whatever it is, right? So they don't have the frame of reference because they never put the victory in the right box. They never give the credit to the right person. Right? They credit everything else, but they never credit God. So when it's something now, their frame of reference might be 6 things and it look minor, but it really should be 24. Right? Because the other 18 major stuff, it was God. It wasn't who your parents know, right? It's no, right? It's him.
Yes.
Right? It's him. So if we go to a frame of reference, if we write it down after a while, we memorize it, it will be stick here. You'll be like, oh, yes, this thing is happening, but then you start to, oh, I could remember when this happened or when that happened and God come to. This is minor, although it looking major now. But when you put it in with reference to the other things that he worked through, you're like, oh, this is a piece of cake. This is a piece of cake. And then gradually, even when these feeling of worry pop up, it will go down.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Because you, after a while, and I was sharing with my daughter, I said, I don't think things has changed that much in my life. But because of my view change, because I don't worry, it put me in a spot where I see things differently. And because I see things differently and I'm not buried down in worry, I see opportunities.
Yeah. Let me interject on that. Oh my, that
yes,
that
yes.
is, that's so my the stress, right? Stress. I say the stress, but stress. So unfortunately, in the U.S., that though this happens all over the world, but Americans are dealing with more stress than many other countries, and because of the stress, consistent stress, it is causing other different diseases, whether it be different forms of heart disease, whether it be hypertension, that can cause eventually, unfortunately, cause a heart attack, strokes. It can even make someone a diabetic. It's because diabetes isn't just related to sugar, just all these different things.
Yes.
So when a person is in this flight or fight mode, which is innate in us, it's installed in us to get us away from a dangerous situation, and of course that comes from when we were in the hunter gatherers, though you could a hunter gathering way of living, but this flight or fight isn't supposed to go on all the time. So when it does, it's supposed to get you away from the bear, or whatever the danger that you're trying to get away from, and get you focused on getting away, right? So if a person is consistently in flight or fight, they're blocked off from everything else. Like I said, if John don't see the bear and he trying to, get to, I don't know, wherever, I got to get through these woods or whatever. But if a person is consistently in this flight or fight state, they can't even see anything else but worry, and then it's like a horse with blinders on. You speak of New Orleans, which is one of my favorite places. Oh my God, it's not only which is a very musical place like over here in Austin, but the vibe there is just like so much that has been fed to that ground and the air
Mhm.
there that I just be picking up. So I remember one time, the last time we went, and we sat on the stairs across from that big church, which is like
Mhm.
one of the famous, or main places like people go and visit and take pictures. So we sit across, we sitting on the steps, and like I said, I just love the people watch. So I'm sitting there and I'm watching, the people walk up and down the street and so forth. And this is where they have the horse-drawn carriages, to ride
Yes.
tourists and people around. And I'm just looking at the horses. I'm just looking at the horses. So and the horses is just looking this way. So we go,
Blinder.
yeah, we walk across the street and we was going somewhere and to the quarters, and I walked past one of the horses, and of course, they have senses and they can feel or whatever. And I'm pretty sure that the horse felt me walk
Mhm.
past it. But when I walked in front of him, and I'm not encouraging anybody to do this, but it's just what Nikki did because I want to keep you safe. But when I walked in front of the horse, because I wanted to look in his eyes, Paula, or in the horse, I didn't know if it was female or male. So I looked in the horse, and then it looked at me like, oh, there's a person in front of me. But with the blinders, right? They put the blinders on,
I
so
see.
it won't be looking all over it.
No.
Sometimes it probably, might not see. Oh, well, not to saying it won't know that it's horses, other horses, but just don't know other stuff that's going on. I say
Yeah.
that to say that yes, and sometimes we have to focus our attention on certain things. If you're trying to get a certain thing done, whatever. Like when I used to, do the nursing and so forth, or even, some of the things I do now, I'm like, okay, I have to, turn off this, be focused so I could get this done. But if we want to open ourselves up to opportunities, we want to open ourselves up to the many possibilities and the great things that's going on around us, you have to take the blinders off. So even
Yeah.
to this day, when I still people watch over here in Texas, when I'm done with a walk, or sometimes I just go to the park and I sit and I watch people, families bringing out,
Yeah.
coming out, walking with children or other, people just out. You're, I'm asking myself, what is um is happening now, because I want to
Mhm.
be able to be fed and given,
Mhm.
so much. And this is how I'm able to meet these different people. Just
Yeah.
they just come and sit down on the bench or the swing, they walk past, and we get to talking, and I learn
Mhm.
something, or many things of them, they learn of me. But
Mhm.
sometimes I see, people, and I can tell if a person is in a state of high stress, and they're worrying. And then it's like, because they're so focused and honed in of whatever that's going on in the mind.
Mhm.
So, going back to even traveling, that's why I encourage you all. I encourage you all, because traveling could be anything to you,
Yeah.
whether
Yeah.
so I live in the Austin area, but Texas
Mhm.
is so big and it
Yeah.
has a lot of offerings. So if I want to drive down to San Antonio, Dallas, Houston, El Paso, that's still traveling. What is
Yes, it
traveling?
is.
Yeah,
It
it's
does
going somewhere different that you're
something
not
different
used
here.
to.
Here, I tell persons, even before I start, I used to have staycation
Mm-hmm.
because when I had Robin, my granddaughter, because the first 4 years of her life, I had
Mm-hmm.
her with me in
Mm-hmm.
Atlanta.
Okay.
So she would go to her little daycare, whatever it is during the week. And like Fridays, I would pack fresh clothes for her in the bag and wherever it is. I go and collect her from Miss Neil.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I take the clothes to Miss Neil for her to change. And we get in the car, and my goal is the top 3 hours
Mm-hmm.
drive, right?
Mm-hmm.
So wherever it takes us, and sometimes if it's a longer, like we got a longer weekend, I might take a 5 hours drive,
Mm-hmm.
and I put Robin in the back seat.
Uh-huh.
And we drive, we went to all over Georgia, we went down to Savannah, we went to Florida. So I tell people that not always, you might not want to go through with TSA, with the airplane and all of that. If drive, go somewhere,
Yes.
get on the bus, get
Yes.
a taxi, even if you're not driving, you got a friend who drive or a child who drive, you come together, help with the gas or whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
Go places,
Yes.
experience more. I was doing that. I was doing that. We were not staying in the household weekend. No, no, no. I put Robbie. After a while, she just wanted to hear about the hotel. She was very excited
Mm-hmm.
because she grew up.
Uh-huh.
She grew up. We travel all over, we travel all over. And then we went away to England for the summer, 2 summers ago, right? But that's what we do. So that's why I tell people you travel. And one of the things is that when you get yourself all worked up and you're stressing, right? Because you're leaning on God. Part of the opportunities that the answer would be right there.
Yes.
And here another thing too, you can make a bigger mess. I could remember paying AT&T with all the stress twice.
Mm-hmm.
That when I couldn't understand why Georgia Power sent the bill saying that I got to pay late fee because I didn't pay last month bill and I ready to call the people with the attitude. And they said, no, Miss Simon, never did pay. Then I look, I have a credit with AT&T. Because when you get yourself so stressed, you could
Mm.
make mistakes like that.
Yep.
So instead of paying Georgia Power, I go and pay AT&T twice and then get a late fee on Georgia Power. It's not to say that the money wasn't there, but
Uh-huh.
when you start going back to God, leaning on Him,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you go to me. I have conversations. I don't know. People might say prayer. I got conversations. I got some serious conversation here. You see what happening here. I know you're going to work it out. I trust you. But
Mm-hmm.
right now, your child is anxious about it. I'm asking you to please quiet me and help me through this season,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Because something he brought to my attention, it took me a while. And it was like weird. We need God to help us to serve Him. It
Mm.
sounds weird. It's like I owe you money and you still got to give me some money for me to pay you. So it doesn't right. But since we need to lean, we cannot do anything without Him. I have to lean on Him to help me to lean on Him. Because by nature, we we sin. By nature, we don't have that strength, right? So sometimes it's easy for me to lean on God, but based on what you're facing, it is hard.
Mm.
You know, it's not that you don't know, it's not that you're doubting God, but there's still this anxiousness and everything in you. So then you have to say, here, Father, I know that you're going to work it out for me.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
know you will never leave me or forsake me. I
Mm-hmm.
know you love me. At this point, Father, I'm asking you to help me to get over this what I'm going through so I will be able to trust you
Yes.
without this head
Yes. Yes.
or without these bad feelings or I
I
can't sleep.
and see that's I have learned to see um I have learned to see things, how should I say, more broad or more, and this is what I mean by this. So like when it comes to the Bible, I I see things broader.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times I read just to get clarity, or just to see what if it confirms in what I'm hearing or seeing.
Mm-hmm.
I read metaphysical text of it, right? And because I say that because I have learned to apply. Like I give an example. When I used to still work as a nurse, and one of the reasons why I decided to create the business Nikei S Salas Holistic Coaching was because when we see things with a broader view, which science has started to catch on to, not just treating somebody as their body, but finding out
Mhm.
what's going on mentally and emotionally with them. Um, that's what I was starting to see, and that's what was my saving grace when I would go to clinicals, is because I was, getting this wonderful. I had this wonderful gift where, okay, this person said on here, and I'm just being very vague with this because I don't want to bring up no old patients' information, but if Jane Doe's blood sugar is high, and they ran labs on her, and it's like, where is it coming from? And I had
Yes.
started to see, I'm like, okay, so let's look at this, let's look at that. Mostly away from what was manifesting in the
Yeah.
body, I was
Yes.
going down deeper into, let me
Mhm.
talk to her, let me get an idea, some other things going on with her, because that is what happens to us.
Mhm.
When by the time it manifests physically, unless somebody is injured, if Jane Doe runs into a wall, for the most part, that's
Then you
just
know. Mhm.
right. But if it's something that took time, to kind of seep in her mind and it was fed to her body, that's something, from what she, just her lifestyle, things she was thinking about, or things that she was constantly even feeding herself, right? But because
Mhm.
we're being fed all the time here. So
Mhm.
when what I want to say, when I would start to see things that way, I would go back and compare. That's what I want to say. Compare different scriptures to what I was hearing and seeing, right?
Mhm.
And I say
Mhm.
that to say there's a teaching in the Bible of, um, if you do not believe me, if I'm correct, if you do not believe me, then test me at this. And that's
Yes.
that's what I believe in. I say that from when I used to I was told years ago when I was going through the nursing program to go to the water. And this is back when Chase Bank, you could buy gold dollars.
Mhm.
And here it was, I've
I
been
remember
just,
you told the story.
yeah, I was,
You all forget talking the story.
yes, Paula, let me tell you, when I was going through that nursing program, I had no income. I had stopped working so I could focus totally in on school, and I was going through, a bad relationship, but that even served its purpose. It was more than even me having a bad relationship supposedly with this person, but it was a bad relationship with myself. And I heard this, get it, gold dollars. I was like, but with what money? It's like every once in a while, I was waiting to get leftover funds from grant money. And I was that person that if I could get a scholarship to pay for my books, I was writing an essay. If I could get this for, I was putting all this money together. That's how I got through school. So when I would get left over, which is only like every 3 months or something for the semester, and I needed that to still pay bills. So I'm like, gold dollars, I cannot. What I'm gonna do with these gold dollars? I was told to get a gold dollar, a quarter and a penny, shine it up, and go to the water, pray, and throw it in. I was like, what? You want me to throw money away? I need gas. What? And I heard this number 126, Paula, from when the first time I went to Purdue University. I had this great professor. Um, he was a rabbi and he taught at the university as well. Such a blessing to my life. And he told me, and it was Bible literature class I took, and he taught that, and then he would teach the Torah as well, and then he invited me and my children to his synagogue. But anyway, he talked about the number 126, and that the number 126 represented God, right? And even that was in preparation for me doing the praying at the water. So anyway, I would do this at least 3 times a week. I'm like, oh my God, I'm just throwing money in the water, what is wrong with me? And I was told, don't listen to nobody else. Like you said earlier, there are
Yeah.
some things that we might
Yeah.
share with people, and then there are some things we are not.
Oh,
And
we
and,
gotta
and I'm
keep
gonna
quiet.
yes, and I'm gonna tell you when one time that one and only time I had shared this with the person what I was going to go do. I was about to go, to one of the parking places on Lakeshore Drive in Chicago. And I parked my car at somebody's house I knew so he could watch my car and I was gonna walk down to the lake. And I told him, and I heard that too, Paula. Don't say nothing to nobody. But I said to him, oh, he was like, what you finna do? I said, oh, I'm finna go, pray to the water and throw this money in. He was like, well, if you're gonna throw money away, you might as well give it to me. And then I was like, no, I'm not gonna do that. And I went on down to the water and I just kept on doing it. That was
Mm.
not only a test of my faith, because like I said, I was told to
Yes.
disconnect even from my family. At the time I had this, I couldn't like even really, I was told to be in not complete solitude because I was still going to school and so forth. But even at the time, for me, I was told to stop even going to church. I was told to just get straight from me what I
Mhm.
want you to do. And I was like, no, that's impossible.
Mhm.
I was like, because I go to
Yeah.
this particular place faithfully Sunday Bible study on Wednesdays or whatever like that. It's like, no. So when that happened, when I tell you miracles happen in my life, because I was supposed to have been dropped from that
Yeah.
program.
Yeah.
I knew for a fact that first semester I was supposed to have been dropped. I was gonna even go drop myself until I heard no, it's not a time. At that time, when before I was I had when I had stopped working when I was in the program, I still had a friend that was a real good friend to this day. Um he I call him my spiritual mentor. And he told me,
Mhm.
he was like, you know, you just gotta keep going, Nick. And I was like, no, I'm messing up and all that. He's like, no, just keep going, keep believing. And he's more my senior. So he was, just like he was like, oh, just keep living, you just keep going through it. Fast forward, I get through the program, but even the stuff that happened when I was in that program, Paula, like I said, I used to drive over in an hour and sometimes an hour and a half to the place where I went to school for the nursing program. With didn't know how I was gonna get gas money by the end of the week. Sometimes driving on E, I'm like, man, I got a little
Mhm.
bit of gas left. Get, just all these different things. And it was totally off of faith, totally
Yes.
off this faith. And like you say, go back. Sometimes I do that. I sometimes when I sit and I think
Yeah.
about like
Your
the
frame of
things,
reference.
yes. And I was
Yeah.
like, that was nothing but God. And
Yes.
I'm glad I listened to the detachment, not only because when I think about
Mhm.
it, I've been attaching, not attaching, I should say, from
Mhm.
people and
Mhm.
things throughout my life. And I'm like, wait a minute,
Mhm.
that person didn't help me. That was God. Wait a
Mhm.
minute. That
Mhm.
happened. That was God. That's because God
Yeah.
was like, prove me at this. I want you to
Yes.
listen to
Yes.
straight to me. Come and have a relationship to me.
Mhm.
Just like how you call God your crazy dude. I talk to I
Yeah.
if I just
Yeah.
sit and I talk to God. It's not no, and to each their own. It doesn't isn't it's not in a certain template or whatever. I talk to God just
Yeah.
like I'm talking
Mhm.
to you.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
we're in a genuine, authentic
Yeah.
relationship,
Relationship.
and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
real. And I can say
Yeah.
it's the realest it's ever been in my entire life.
Here, I could remember when I was coming back from that same Woman That Were Loose conference in New
Mm-hmm.
Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
We had a stop over in Washington, D.C. And the flight from Washington, D.C. to New York, the weather was bad.
Mm.
It was that bad that the whole airplane was in darkness. They
Ooh.
did not serve anything, and it was turbulence.
Ooh.
And as I sat in that airplane, I was okay because Kenya was with me, my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
If she wasn't with me, I would have been scared of dying and leaving her. But
Mm.
because she was with me, when I look over, she was reading her little book, and I sat in that airplane in the complete darkness, and clearly I
Mm.
hear in my spirit, it's not religion, it's a relationship.
Yes.
It is not religion, it's a relationship.
Yes.
And I was calm before, and I even get more calm. And as I look across, she wasn't no way up. So she was reading her book, and I was fine because even if the plane did go down, she's with me. I didn't have to worry, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that is the way God works.
Yes.
I'm telling you this thing, Nikki, when I look back, I'm he, but he just wants us to trust him.
Yes.
And you know what? Is as I'm saying, there had the times, oh, you talking about how things would affect your life.
Mm-hmm.
You said when you're going to school, you will look at the patient, and I could remember when I first migrated to the US, and I went through a real tough few years. And one of the things is I think I make a mistake. I think I
Mm.
make a mistake. I think I make a mistake, right? Because I was a government auditor. I was certain on projection of my promotion. I know at age 55, I was able to retire, would have gotten a pension at age 55. At age 60, I would get an next pension and all of that. And I was already in my 30s when I migrated to the US.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm telling you this. I was always feeling sick
Mm.
because of stress. I didn't know it was the
Oh.
stress. And I will go to this place, you will pay, I can't remember how much sum you will pay to this clinic, and they will look at you. And I never forget a day, I was sitting after going back for who knows the 10,000 time. And I saw this older white nurse pass me. And then she come back. I said, hello. And she said, I know I'm not, right now there's something she wouldn't tell me because there's a lawsuit. He said,
Mm.
I know I'm not supposed to do this, but I will pass and see you always in this clinic. So
Mm.
I decided to look at your file. This is what she told me.
Mm-hmm.
I was never, she never took care of me, nothing, right? But she said she would pass and see me there. And she
Mm.
said, I looked at your file. And she said, what I will tell you, stress is something that hurts. She said, because I look all your vitals, your weight, she said, you're in perfect health.
Mm.
When I'm reading these symptoms that you writing down there, she said it's stress.
Yeah.
She says stress does that to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell her thanks and she walk off.
Mm. Oh, that was an angel.
Yeah, I'm telling you here because here, Nikki, how I used to feel so bad. If I had gone in there and anybody say you got cancer, anything they tell me horrible, I would have believed. I would
Mm-hmm.
have never asked a second opinion or anything because I'm thinking it was a combination of me who, but I'm looking myself in the mirror and I'm nowhere looking at how sick I'm feeling.
Mm.
And that's what a woman told me. She probably look at me. So I don't know. This
Mm-hmm.
God, she said, I'm not supposed to do it. But I decide to look at your file.
Wow.
And I could tell you, she said, stretch. She said, because you were in perfect health. She said,
Mm.
you were in great healthy age, everything. She said, and I look at all the symptoms you're having.
Mm.
Said stress does
Yeah.
that to you.
Yeah. Especially when you
Right?
said
And
that
this
you
is,
was feeling all this
yes,
this
because there was
pounding.
worry, it was years of
Yeah.
worrying, years of
Wow.
worry. And it come down to us just trusting God in the process.
Yes. Yes.
For some people, he might even say travel, like, oh, I'm traveling. For some, it's other thing, but whatever he tells you, especially if it's off, kidder, if it's contrary, if it's weird,
Mm-hmm.
nobody is doing it, chances are it's God. Because if
Yes.
it's normal, it's easy for you to do. You're not no case of trusting in you, just do it. But these things which are a bit off, affecting your money, your finances, changing a profession, you just get a promotion and he's saying leave the job. What?
Mm-hmm.
This is the promotion. I always wanted to get the office. You said, what? Leave the job after all those years of studying? I get a
Mm-hmm.
promotion. Why didn't you tell me leave the job before? Right? But I stayed, So when he's telling these things may be a bit off, is he testing us?
Yes.
If we really, and then we might think this is the way to go. But
Mm-hmm.
he always have a better plan.
Mm-hmm.
He always have a better plan. So when you reach the point now that I don't care what happened, I know it's for my best.
Yes.
It might
That's it.
not, but I know it is. There's
Yes.
no if, but a maybe about it, Nikki.
Yes.
And I'm so happy that I reached at this point. I never had foreseen it.
Mm.
I never could have foreseen that I'm going to reach a point that I will be worrying. And regardless of whatever it is, I am okay
Yes.
because I know my father is part of the plan.
Yes.
And whatever it is, I might be able to see the the goodness in it, but I know there is.
Mm-hmm. It always
Right?
is. It's like if
Yes.
you really want, and again, it's up to a person of how they relate, with God. But if a person chooses to see God as a parent, a parent that
Yes.
loves their child, always gonna want the best. Always gonna want the best. It's like it's a lot of times we think like even when we go through these, and I say that from, as well as being a mother, right? So like even if one of my children when they were younger, but even to this day, but when they was younger, they would get in different kind of kid situations. And what would we say to them? I know I would say to them, come talk to me about it. Come
Oh,
talk to me
yes.
about it.
Let
So
me
I
hear
can,
about it first.
yes, because unfortunately, if they try to fix it, it would get worse. It would get worse. I was like,
We know
I
that.
told you
We
to
know
come
that.
talk to me.
You know what I said? And it's interesting. Oh my God, Nikki, this is crazy. Because this is what I say. Our relationship with our children, our relationship with our father. That's
Mm,
why I tell people, you don't, as we say again, run your mouth. You don't talk things about God, children
mm-hmm.
here because we're mothers. Or
Uh-huh.
even if you're not a mother, you got a cut somebody that you really love.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, you have more than one children. So even if you upset with one and you go to the other and you say, oh, your brother do this, and that other child decide that they need to say something.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, mommy, he was always, you as the mother get upset,
Mm-hmm.
because although you're the only person to speak ill or speak anything about your children. No other person mustn't say anything about your children.
Nope.
Not even the other child. No, not even the other child must say
No.
something about it. This why I tell people. So when you see you getting, you're talking things about God, children, in the back of me head, I say, I be circumspect. You know why? I don't want he decide to, okay, Paula, since you condemning Nikki, I need to put us.
Mm-hmm.
Is it be when you're dealing with God's children, even if it's something you say, you stopped at a certain point. Because in my head, I look at him as how I will treat. I don't want nobody say nothing but Kenya. I don't care what the hell she do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the only one have authority to say something.
That's my child.
No one else. Hey, you guys, so will you see, keep it to yourself. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not encouraging no conversation about my child. That's my baby,
Mm-hmm.
right? Let me be the one to say whatever I want about her, but you don't have one right to say anything. And this is how I look at with God and us,
Yes.
right? And his children is that he is protective of us.
Mm-hmm.
I just want us to trust him,
Yes.
to give it to him.
Yes.
It's gonna work everything out.
I just want to end on this note, but even all of this, because all of it is the traveling. Our journey of life is
Yeah,
traveling, if we choose to see
yeah,
it that way. And how far we can go, is
yes,
it's also saying to me, like you that quote you have on your website, how much we can grow from our
yeah,
different experiences. And throughout the years, with the traveling, to different places, it's it has, oh my God, it has given me so much. It definitely
yeah,
has increased my faith. And
yes, it does.
I just look forward to, because it's part of strengthening my
Yes,
relationship with God, because it's
yes,
like, and which for you, Paula, I just think that that's amazing, that you going, I mean, you are truly a globe trotter, going from
yeah.
from country to country.
Country.
I mean,
Yeah,
some of the places you all, and I'm gonna leave her link in down at the bottom to her YouTube. Some of the places that she has been is still on my live list. And it's like, it's just allowing us to, if again a person that's seeing it this way, allowing yourself to live in different places.
yes,
It's not, it don't have to necessarily go from a narrative or of, oh, well, this is where I was born, this is where I'm gonna stay. If that's what you choose, that's
no,
fine, but I'm just here to tell you, there's so much out here. To me,
yes, yes,
this entire planet is home.
yes.
And
But
God wants
here,
us,
if you're a
to,
believer, but if you're a believer, he said go out into the nation. God never said you stay at one spot, you know. And
no.
here, what, and I will say this, I see the favor of God
Mm,
as I travel.
mm,
Nikki, I walk into hotels.
mm-hmm,
99.9% of the time, I'm the only person looking like me.
mm,
I've been airplanes, I'm the
mm.
only person looking like me.
I love
I
that.
go into those lounges in the airport, I might be the only person looking like me.
I
I
love
go to
that.
the evening reception and I walk in there and there's always people.
Mm,
Miss Simon, we
mm.
upgrade you too.
Come on now.
I get in goosebumps. But this thing here, like and there's a silly fear. There's not of God. I said, politically, you jinx yourself.
Mm,
Because I don't talk much about the upgrades.
mm-hmm,
I'm telling you, Nikki, I will book the standard room because the rooms I get upgraded to, I would not, I would blow every penny I have
mm-hmm,
very, very quickly if
mm-hmm,
I book those rooms, right?
mm-hmm,
If I book the rooms that I end up in, it is might be the four, five, $600 a night room, which Paul just sign up with points for the 60 something dollars a night room,
mm,
which I even pay 60 something dollars because I pay for it in points.
mm-hmm,
And I go in there, and Miss Simon, he upgrade you. And initially, I thought it's okay because I got status with Hilton and status with Marriott. But this is what God is doing. I become part of these Facebook groups, right? And these people talking about they have status. They have status and some status higher than me.
mm-hmm,
They had titanium before I was a, and they're complaining that they're not getting upgrades.
mm,
And
mm,
they're complaining, and they say, "Oh, this hotel," and I'm seeing all of these complaints about upgrade. I don't say anything,
mm.
right?
You just
Because
smile. I know you
I
just be smiling on that.
no, but what God is telling me, oh, you think it's because you're a Marriott member or a Hilton member or Hyatt
Mm-mm,
member? No, it's
mm-mm.
my grace.
Yes.
I've been telling every hotel, Miss Simon, we upgrade you. I
Yeah.
could remember the last time I was in Malaysia, I was upgraded to a two-bedroom suite, like if I need an extra bedroom.
Mm,
I had space about for six persons, and I alone was in
mm,
that suite, right?
mm.
What is God favor?
Yes.
But for a
Amen.
while, and God knows in my heart that I was just going through the process saying, oh, it's because they said if you got this status, you can get an upgrade. And then he lead me to the groups. And you see these people talking about they ain't getting upgrade, they ain't getting up, and they're complaining. I don't have that.
Mm-mm.
Everywhere I walk in. It's one
See
Bacon
that,
Street.
Paula, that's why you my virtual assistant. And I know soon one day we gonna physically meet, but
Yeah.
I so I'm gonna share I'm gonna share something with you with all of you all. So one of the prayers that I put out there is, God, allow me to see, allow me to hear what you want me to see and hear. May I be open to what you want for me. May I be a light. May I be a great example of what can be done in a person's life. So also each month when I sit down, because I'm still a person that likes to write things down, because
Mhm.
actually it makes it more real for us. I understand,
Yes,
a
yes.
lot of times people, do things on their phone and digitally and so forth. But
No, no,
when
no,
you,
no. I can't do the phone stuff.
yeah,
I
when
got to write it down.
I gotta
I'm
write it
about.
down. It makes it
Yeah, I got to
more
write it down.
it makes it more real, for me. And
Yeah,
then in the mind, it just it can process things better. But like, oh, okay. When you write something down on paper, it's like, oh, okay, I got to do this at such
yeah.
time.
Mhm.
So each month, um, so this is March. We're getting ready to go into April. So the month before, when I write, I still write down all the bills that needs to be paid for the next month, and I
Mhm.
always write down a prayer or an intention or something I'm believing in, right?
Mhm.
And one of the things that I purposely, though I already believe in this, but made sure that I wrote it down in February for the month of March was, I thank you, God, for all the miracles that are happening this month, for the month of
Yeah.
March.
Mhm.
Before, I want to say, what's this? This is March 17th. I want to say before, it was 2 weeks ago, which again, I'm already a believing of miracles. There was this gospel song that I still love to this day, and every once in a while I sing it out loud. It's saying I'm looking for a miracle. I
Yes,
expect,
yes. By those girls. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
because I used to
yeah.
I used to sing that song when I was in the children's choir, and I play it in my mind, right? So I want to say before that first weekend in March, my Dino went to the grocery store, and he so HEB is a big chain out here in Texas,
Mhm.
right? And I order a lot of my stuff through Whole Foods. Though HEB is fine, but I still, I take great advantage of Whole Foods orders so I could get, work done. So he went to the store, and he said he come home and he's just looking puzzled, and he's like, I don't know what happened. He was like, he put the receipt down. He was like, I'll go to the end, getting ready to pay for the groceries. The young lady said it's already paid for. And he like, what? What do you talk about? Because he puts all his credit. I shouldn't say that, but it was a credit app, right? You know how
Mhm.
you could have and he was gonna pay it with his from
Phone,
his
the
phone.
phone.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And he was like, but how, no, no. And I'm just smiling at him, and I'm just smiling at him. And then he was like, I need to call them, and I said, baby, let it be. Let it be. I said that, and I'm smiling to myself because I'm thinking about what I had wrote for, and I meant
Mhm.
these miracles. When I write this down, it's for the household, right? And
Yeah.
sometimes I sit and I pray for, my loved ones for certain things that happen in their life. And when they
Mhm.
do, I just smile to myself.
Yeah.
So he had got groceries free that day, or they was paid for somehow, you know. And then when my Whole Foods groceries came, those was free. Let me just say those was free as well. All this happened
Oh,
in one day. So to
this
me,
you this is.
so to me, it's like, if we, again, like we are saying earlier, about allowing ourselves to be open and allowing
Mhm.
ourselves to rest, because to trust is to rest in how everything is going to work. If I believe we can have an intention, or plan for things, right? But then leave that space for things to just happen in the best way possible. that was only that first weekend. It's been miracles
Mhm.
happening. This is March 17th. There was three more instances that happened within a course of 17 days. And this day ain't even over with. That I was just
You know
like
what?
just smiling.
You know what? Someone I heard a pastor, I can't remember who it was. It was a female pastor. And she said the problem now is that we walking around not expecting miracles.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She said that's
Mm-hmm.
the problem. She
Mm-hmm.
said we just she said we just walking around not expecting miracles.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You
So there's
know,
it.
another when you talk about like the travel groups, and
Mhm,
some of the travel groups I just like to be a part of, just to
mhm,
to learn from other people, but also as well, like you said, like you, whether it be couponing or just different ways
mhm,
to use rewards and so forth.
mhm,
That's fine, but then also too, I noticed like when we travel to different places, and without even asking, like you said, things would be given to us.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I smile while I say this, because when we went to go visit family in Chicago a couple months ago, and I had paid for an apartment, because we was there for a week or whatever, and so I got an apartment, and in this particular building downtown Chicago, the standard room and what is considered a premium um two-bedroom looked totally different, right? So I just asked, and that's what God has told me. Say it.
Mhm.
Whatever
Yeah.
I tell you to say, just say it. So I just told them after I had booked the room that, hey, I'm looking again on your website. I see that you have a premium suite. I will like that because it
Mhm,
has a nice view. And I'm not just left
mhm,
at that. And even with me, doing the YouTube, the podcast, and different stuff, it's practicing me standing and whatever I know or believe, and just letting the chips fall as they may. So,
mhm,
and I didn't know for sure that they was gonna give it to me, but fast forward, they did. So
mhm,
recently, a relative wanted to rent out this, because it's a beautiful building downtown
mhm,
Chicago. And I tell you, if you ever go visit Chicago, I tell you about them, because I understand, like, with the love and light to Airbnb, but it's just not my forte anymore.
mhm,
I prefer hotels, and
mhm,
I go through booking.com a lot, because I've been having good experiences with them. And I found this apartment building through
mhm,
them. So anyway,
mhm,
a relative had reached out to me and was like, yeah, I want to rent out there where you was at. And then they was like, and I told them, I was like, oh, which one do you want? The regular two-bedroom or the one that we had?
mhm,
And he was like, well, I want the one that you had. And I was like, oh, okay. So anyway, because I told him that we were charged for the standard, but we was
mhm,
given the premium. And
mhm.
it didn't work out the way it worked out for me for us. But see, I'm not saying that person don't believe in miracles, whatever, but I walk in miracles. So
Yeah,
I was just saying
yeah,
to myself, I was like, thank you, God, for favor. Thank you, God, for favor. Thank you, God, for favor. And
yeah,
and so, like, to
yeah.
me, when you talk about rewards, and yes, I signed up for the different rewards, but ain't it beautiful? Ain't it beautiful to be given the ultimate
Yes,
rewards, where
yeah,
can't no Hilton
yes.
Hyatt, God bless them, but can't nobody give it to you. It's coming from there, and it's like everywhere. So
Yes,
this happens
yes,
a lot. So now when I
yeah.
go places, I just expect for the best.
Yes, 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 it. This it. This it. Here. Honestly, Nikki, I am other than Kenya.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter, she and a few times friends, but like I said, this thing is crazy. But I was here. I was taking it normal until I go and I start seeing this group of people complaining. They didn't get an upgrade. How
Mm,
did they? I said, Mr. Father, so
mm,
it is not that. It
mm-hmm.
is you granting me favor.
Yes.
It
Even
is
when,
you granting me favor.
even when, I remember, I mean, I just, I could just think of different places. I never forget, and I keep a contact with this couple on Facebook, but when we were in Puerto Vallarta, that was 4 years ago or something. And we and that's why, like I said, it's I'm open to meeting new people. I tell God all the time, so even when I pray, to for me to see and hear what you want me, that I know that that's part of it, that's part of me being open to meeting, new people and so forth.
Mhm.
So we meet these people out, and they invite us over, for dinner, and they feed us, and that happens to us a lot. So it's like we don't even have to use our money, which it ain't really our money anyway, but it's
Mhm.
just something that's borrowed as a tool down here.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
it's like that happens a lot, where I would go to different places. We'll go sit down at a restaurant, be like, hey, we want to give you guys a free dessert, or hey, if you come back, we'll get. I just expect that. I just walk in it every day, be like, oh, what I say to myself, what miracle you gonna give today?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because here because you lean on your father. He said he gave you the desires of your heart.
Mm-hmm.
He
Mm-hmm.
said,
Mm-hmm.
you're not running a scam. You're
Mm-mm.
not faking something wrong, hoping to get meals free. You're not doing anything like that.
Mm-mm.
You're just being who you are, a
Yes,
child of a king.
that's it.
This is
And
what
and
you've been doing. You just walk in there.
and
And
see, I
you
just want
there,
to.
Nikki, let me tell you this
Okay,
before I
okay,
forget.
okay, okay.
When I was sometime last year, I was in Turkey,
Mm-hmm.
and this part, I just go, I said, oh, this hotel in a different part of Turkey, and I went to the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
It so happened the hotel is very near to a hospital that is do a lot of cosmetic surgery and
Mm.
all of these things there, right? So
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the people there was there to get breast implant and all kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I was sitting there and then I saw this woman. Well, the day I went down for breakfast, the restaurant was like full. And it just had this spot by this lady. And I asked her, so could I sit here? She said, yes. So she asked me, are you here for the hospital? She's from Great Britain, but she living in Spain, right?
Mm-hmm.
She said, you're from the hospital? You're going to the hospital? I said, no. Well, I didn't know about the hospital. She told me
Mm-hmm.
she went there to get dentures done because she said in Spain it is so much money and it's cheaper there.
Mm.
But we sitting at the table and everybody coming up. Oh, Miss Simon, are you okay? Would you like this? And she is there. But they asking me if I said yes, a pot of tea, and then I turned to her and said, was there anything you like? And she done.
Mm-hmm.
And when they went away, she brought my attention to the kind of service I get.
Mm.
Her words were to me, she said, oh, you must be a big shot. No, not a big shot. She said, you're a big thing because everybody, everyone, Miss Simon, are you okay? Right? Not being taken, she's Caucasian,
Mm-hmm.
she's British, she's living in
Mm.
Spain.
Mm.
Me just like this. Everybody there as well. Makeup done, nails done. I'm just this,
Mm-hmm.
right? I got the accent. Who knows? Some of it from some one of the poor African countries or maybe some part of the Caribbean, right? So she turned and she said it. And it's like this thing happened. And when I said 8, 9 months after, then I think the Holy Spirit brought it to me. Then, like this whole conversation, we sitting at this table, we going there, and this were her words to me. You must be a very important person, or you a big one, because it's everybody pass here.
Mm.
And they all were.
Mm.
The chef came out of the kitchen to ask me if I'm okay.
Mm. Mm.
Is there anything I could get for you, Miss Simon? I said, no. I said, I'm fine. Don't forget, if there's a let me know. Everyone in the service, but Miss Sammy, okay, when you're ready for your tea, let me know.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what happens all the time.
Mm.
That is what happens all the time. So
Uh-huh.
when she said it, I'm like 8 months, I said, oh, and then I tell Kenya, I said, this lady said this thing.
Mm-hmm.
No one ever, well, mostly I sit alone. So she's the first person that said it to me. And even when she said it, it did not register.
Mm.
It did not register. I was way well out of Turkey, maybe run around to 4 or 5 other countries
Mm-hmm.
when that whole thing came to me.
You know,
And when you go back,
it's, man, and sometimes, because I'm also a believer in whatever you consistently think about, you rotate that out and you bring about. And you the things that we go through in our lives, I consider those as miracles as well. If God, has been in your life
yeah,
where, which I speak for myself, near fatal car accidents, passing out. Those,
mhm,
to me, those still qualify as miracles. So when
yeah,
I take time to sit in that and sit in those experiences and think about it and just be thankful, 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 thankful. That actually does draw
yes,
more to us
yes,
because your mind would be set on opportunities to be in miracles,
yes.
opportunity, whether they be in an upgrade, in a hotel, or getting your groceries paid.
What is it? And you know what, too? Is one thing about the things that we know of, is the things that we don't know of that he keeps us from. That
Mm.
is the crazy one. We
Mm-hmm.
walking around, we just don't know that delay with the key that you can't find, or
Mm-hmm.
the phone, or the shoe, or you might coming out and you even stump your toe. You had to pause a while before you get into the car. You don't know what he saved you from.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's one thing about the things that we know of is the things that he keep us from, and that is what I'm so grateful to my father for.
Yes.
Especially someone like me who's just traveling around.
Mm-hmm.
And I traveling alone.
Mm.
I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes the
Wow.
taxi driver that bring me straight here to the spot now, the next passenger might have an ugly experience with that same person.
Mm-hmm.
Or the
Mm-hmm.
person who was kind to me was mean as hell to the other person at the
Mm-hmm.
meet.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't, is the things that he's keeping me from,
Yes.
right? The way he's covering me, that is the ones.
Yes. Yes.
That is the one.
Thank you, Paula.
Nikki,
Thank
it
you
is
so
so good
much.
that we finally get to talk.
Yes, this is not gonna, and I'm glad
Yeah, yeah,
we finally did this. And like I said, I look forward to, because I know we are, and
yeah,
how we're gonna meet and see each other physically. Because oh my,
yeah, yeah, yes, 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 yes,
thank you.
yeah.
And so for you all, I'm going
Long
to,
talk.
huh?
Hmm?
I forget. So I'm going to leave the different links
Hello?
down. Can you hear me?
I'm losing you.
Uh-oh.
I'm losing you.
Oh, so I'm going to say
I
goodbye
think I
then.
lose you a bit just now.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to leave the links
Mhm.
below of how you can join the experiences with Paula. Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you again for joining me, Paula. I'm going to stop the record, but I'm going to continue to talk to you. Till the next time, you all, take care. Peace and blessings.
Bye, everyone.
Uh-oh, let me see.